Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Anything But Hold'em. And welcome to 2015 as well. And welcome to Season 2 of Anything But Hold'em. We're here playing some Razz on full tilt this morning. I haven't really made too many changes for Season 2 that I can really think of that are going to be huge. The big change that I've made is I'm going to be focusing on both bigger games and also better games for myself. I don't think I'm going to stream any more of the Astronomer free rolls. Those are a great place for people to learn how to play mixed games, and I'm still gonna talk about those, and I'm still gonna play the weekly round twos when I have tickets, because those tend to be pretty strong competition, and there's a good chance of getting some money out at the end. Um, but at the end of the day, I don't think they make for very good stream content, and so I am going to stop streaming those weekly round two things. And I'm going to start focusing on for money games. I'm going to start looking for games that I feel I have a larger edge in. It's one of the reasons why I've been playing more on full tilt over the past little while. Is I feel that the mixed games on tilt are quite a bit softer than they are on stars. Uh, Especially this one that I'm in today. One of the things I realized this week is that because of the weird sort of situation that I never played full tilt very often, I realized that they consider me new to the game for games like Razz and things like that. So I'm able to sit down at a new to the game tournament at full tilt and basically be pretty much a huge edge over a lot of the other people that are sitting down at the same tournament, because the other people that are sitting down at the same tournament are actually new to the game of Razz, where I am not new to the game of Razz, as we well know from watching me here on the stream. Um, is it unethical for me to play uh, in a new to the game Razz when I'm clearly not new to the game of Razz? I don't think so. Full tilt, their rules allow me to play the game, and I think that when full tilt allows me to play the game, there's no reason why I shouldn't play the game. So until full tilt stops allowing me to call myself new to the game of Razz, I'm going to keep calling myself new to the game of Razz, and I'm going to keep it playing. Now, you might notice that I have two tables up here at the moment. They're both actually two tables in the same tournament, which is rather an odd situation unless you're, I suppose, used to playing at full tilt, which I'm not. It's fairly common at full tilt to have multiple uh, to allow multiple entries by the same person into the same tournament at the same time. Now, as I understand, if both of those tournaments or both those entries make it to the final table, then one of your entries automatically qualifies for, well, in this case, 8th place, because it would be a final table 8-handed. So qualify for 8th place and get 8th place money, and then your biggest stack plays on to finish the tournament in whatever chance you go. This particular tournament allowed 2 entries, so I bought in both entries at the beginning, and I'm still playing on both tables. I don't have a huge stack on either table. In fact, I'm slightly down from my starting stack on both tables. But not terribly worried about that yet. We're still low stakes. Haven't really had any huge situations or chances yet to build a stack. Still feeling out some of the tables to see who is, what sort of players everybody is as well. So yeah, we're just having some fun, sitting back, doing some Razz on a Saturday morning here in 2015. This is the first broadcast of Season 2 of Anything But Hold'em. Alrighty, this 8-3 deuce ace is a pretty good bit of bit of a Razz hand. I just realized that my title is all wrong. Let's do this. I'm gonna check with the king queen there. The 6 obviously gives us a pretty nice hand, and I think we're gonna bet now. I think we're gonna be ahead of everybody except potentially Real Stubbs. Since Real Stubbs folds, I'm pretty happy to say that we're usually going to be ahead of Twilight here. So that was a value bet. It doesn't necessarily have to be a value bet, or I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be ahead there. Clearly, he could have drawn out better than us, but I think you've got to put the bet in there anyways, just because if you don't, you're going to have issues. I think you're giving away value if you don't bet there. I think. Yes, you can own yourself when he hits that. But I think there's going to be some times when he hits and doesn't realize he's hit a winning hand. And I think we were playing a 98 there, and if he's hits a 97 at that spot, he might not realize that's a winning hand, and he might fold that to our bet as well. So there's reasons to put the bet in for sure. Just trying to change the title of our broadcast here. Test is not a very good title, I don't think. So now we go. Happy 2015. Razz in the morning is our title. I am going to do a quick Twitter share with that, and hopefully get a few new people coming in. Alrighty, so we took this pot down over here. Obviously, that actually worked out well. As I said, when we put in our bet. Still a little bit low over here, but we're above our starting stack here, and we're moving in good. Twilight showed us there that he's relatively well. I mean, we don't really know what he drew at the end, so I don't really know what he folded out there. But he's clearly, I think, paying attention to our board and knowing where he is in relation to us there. So we're gonna have to pay attention to Twilight's play as we go on. He's going to be a fairly significant opponent, probably as time goes on. Say hello in chat if you're out there, folks. Nice to see people here for season 2 of anything but Hold'em. Starting off with some Razz. As I said at the beginning, I'm not changing a huge amount for season 2 of anything but Hold'em. My main change is going to be in the focus of the kind of games that I'm playing on here. I'm going to be focusing on for money play and larger for money play. I'm also going to be looking for games that I feel I have a really big edge in. So I'm going to be looking for big edges, and I'm going to be looking for big games. It's one of the reasons why I'm over here on Full Tilt now, is I do think that the mixed game action on Full Tilt is a heck of a lot weaker, softer than it is on Stars. I don't know. Maybe that's a subjective analysis and not the actual truth, but it certainly seems that way at the levels that I'm currently playing. The microstakes levels of the mixed games at Stars are actually fairly significant competition. People know what they're doing on a pretty clear level, whereas here there's a lot of questionable play that I've seen. So I'm going to spend a lot of time over here on Full Tilt. I'm not sure how much of the mini F-tops, sadly, I'm going to be able to play. I really would love to play. There's obviously some of the mixed game stuff that I would just love to be involved in. The 25 game, I really want to be able to play. Unfortunately, I'm actually going back to work at my real job on Monday during the day, and all of the F-top stuff starts at 10:30 that I want to play. So it's going to be hard at 10:30 in the morning. It's going to be hard to play a lot of those from work or without taking time off work. So I'm going to have to look at a schedule and see if I can figure out ways to play the ones that I really do want to play. But yeah, we'll go from there and we'll see what happens. Right, so we paired our three, which is obviously not the best thing in the world, but we're still three cards to the nut. So I think that folding here is going to be a bad move most of the time. I think I got to see at least one more street. We are now drawing to a hand that is absolutely better than Ribbit. We're drawing to a 7. The best hand at the moment Ribbit can have is an 8. Now, he's obviously drawing to lower than an 8, but again, I think that if we don't keep seeing another street, we're throwing away money at this point. So we have got to call on this. So we just hit 8-7. Ribbit is playing potentially an 8-5. We're not necessarily good here, but we're also most often not bad either. So if he had bet there, we were absolutely seeing another street. At this point, I think the 87, it's a good chance we're behind. So I think that we have to bet here because there's going to be a lot of times that we're not going to win at Showdown. There's going to be a lot of times where if he's playing an 86 or an 8, I don't know if his 875 would have beaten us or would have beaten our 87 or not. I can't remember. I don't know if we're playing 876 or not. I can't remember now. But I think putting in that bet there is gonna maybe fold out some hands that beat us. We might even get some value out of hands. Hey, Hammer, how's it going? Happy New Year. Happy 2015. Good to see you. Good to see you here. I've been a bit slack over the Christmas season in my streaming. I haven't really been streaming nearly as much as I should have, but yeah, we're back now, so gonna do some fun stuff. I'm gonna try to put together a more direct or a more clear schedule for this year as well, so people know when to look for me. Yeah, actually, Hammer, it's amazing how much soft games will make you like can make up for like questionable software and questionable choices of how you choose your icons and things like that. It's amazing how quickly you can make up for that crap with with soft games. So yeah, I'm having fun over here at Full Tilt with the softer stuff. So it's kind of weird. This playing two tables in one tournament. I'm still not really used to that aspect of the Full Tilt software, frankly. Um, but I kind of like it. Both these tables are both in the same tournament. Um, I think I mentioned at the beginning, although it was probably before you tuned in, Hammer, that this is a new to the game Razz tournament on Full Tilt, and I was feeling like it was maybe a little slimy of me to be playing new to the game tournaments and taking advantage of people who have never played Razz or don't play much Razz and are new to Razz. And the only reason I'm allowed to play, obviously, is a quirk of the Full Tilt software that says because I haven't played a ton of Razz on Full Tilt yet, because I don't play on Full Tilt, I'm considered new to the game. When, of course, I mean, I'm clearly not new to the game of Razz, right? I'm clearly, I don't know what level I am at Razz, but I'm clearly not, quote, new to the game, unquote. That seems like a fairly clear statement. Nonetheless, is it slimy for me to play new to the game tournaments if Full Tilt is going to allow me to play those new to the game tournaments? And my answer to that question is no. Um, I play the rules of poker as it's presented to me, and if Full Tilt is going to allow me to enter a tournament like a new to the game tournament, where even though I'm clearly not new to the game, so be it. I'll enter that tournament, not because I'm going to be pretty good value, I think, in that tournament. So no, I'm not having a huge ethical issue with playing in a new to the game, playing in a new to the game tournament here because Full Tilt is letting me play in a new to the game tournament. So there you go. I agree with you, Hammer. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to put in the bet there too. Uh, I don't think he's the way that he was betting there. He's going to be throwing more money in the pot if he's playing something as good as an eight low. The six ace. If the six was a five or lower, and we were two cards to the nuts there, I would probably play that even with the king. But the six just makes it that much weaker, and the king is a dead card, so we can't really. I can't really go with that one. I don't think. Sorry about that, Hammer. What can I say? I've been watching it myself. I've actually been overdosing on Jamie Staples streams over the Christmas holidays when he's been on. That's been pretty good. But was watching him this morning before before I came on stream here. Probably go back to him after the stream ends today. I actually played in this new to the game Razz yesterday. So one of the things that I want to do is make sure that I'm finding games that are good to stream this year, not just kind of willy-nilly jumping into and streaming whatever I happen to be playing at the time. So I need to sit down and make a schedule, look for the games on Full Tilt and Stars that I think are going to provide the best value for the stream entertainment from that perspective. Now, I think that in some of those cases, my skill level in the games is going to play into that. So I think it's going to end up being that we're going to play a lot more. I'm going to play a lot of Razz, a lot of the stud games, a lot of the triple studs, a lot of the horse, a lot of Omaha high-low this year, a lot of Badoogie. I'm probably not going to play as much Deuce to 7, 5-card draw, pot limit Omaha, that sort of thing, stud high, that sort of thing, simply because the games that I'm not very good at or I don't feel that I have an edge in, I don't think are as entertaining for the audience. Because I think in general, the audience likes to watch someone who knows what they're doing, not somebody who's got no clue what they're doing in the game that they're playing. I mean, I suppose there's some comedy value in watching people who have no clue what they're doing, but there's not much beyond comedy value in it. Yeah, it does actually make it easier. You're playing the same game all the time. You're playing the same blind levels all the time. A lot of the times you'll play the same people because people will get moved from one table onto another table where you're sitting, and so you'll have the same opponents. Um, uh, Obviously not at the same time, but through the tournament, you're gonna see a lot of the same people with both plays. Yeah, thank you, Hammer. I agree. It's fine to do. I had about 2 seconds of ethical questions yesterday when I entered this new to the game one for the first time, and it was funny. I was playing about I don't know. I'd been playing for maybe 3/4 of an hour. So the first hand when I got in, um, player named Cat666 basically capped out 2 or 3 rounds of betting on me with a fairly weak hand, um, trying to sort of knock me out. Basically, I just sat down. I sat down late, and I think that it was somebody who said, this is somebody who's just, what the heck is this? Let's jump in and see what happens." And they tried to push me around, and of course, that's not pushing me around in Razz is going to be tough at any time. But when I've got a good hand and I want to play, it's not really going to be really advantageous for your chip stack to try to push me around a lot, because I'm going to push right back, as we've seen. So big, I took a big, like I think I ended up all in. We run really high stake levels when I jumped in because it was very late in the late registration when I jumped in. And I'm pretty sure I fully doubled my stack. I'm pretty sure I ended up getting all of my stack in on that first hand and doubling it up um, through her. And so the Cats was on my table for quite a while. Then I got moved and back in again a little bit later. And so this is about maybe an hour and a half or so into the tournament. And Cats was a fairly talkative player, and we were yakking back and forth a little bit in the chat window and so on. And we were the two kind of talkative ones at the table. And finally, Cats kind of says, "So you're not really new to the game, are you? You've played Razz before." And I'm like, "Yeah, I played. I cannot tell a lie. I played a little bit of Razz in my time. I play as around 66 on stars, and there's no way I'd be considered new to the game over there. But what the heck." So we had a good laugh about that. But I get the feeling that there's a few people like that in this Razz. There's people that don't have a ton of Razz skills playing this that I've seen, but there's some people that clearly know what the heck they're doing in this game as well. So at least as much as I do, if not more so. I mean, I've got an edge on a lot of the players, but there's people that I'm definitely not necessarily got a huge edge on. I don't think I'm a huge dog anywhere that I've seen so far, but I don't think I have a huge edge on some of the people in here, anyways. I shouldn't say I don't think I'm a huge dog. I don't think I'm a dog at all, actually, in most cases here. But yeah, I would love to be able to, and I really am hoping to find a way to play that 25 game. But I don't know if you were around when I mentioned this. The problem that I'm having with doing a good mini F-Tops schedule is that I'm going back to my day job on Monday, meaning I'm not going to be able to stream nearly as often, and the mini F-Tops is running starting at 10:30 a.m. at my time, which means it's right in my sort of sweet spot for being at work. Gonna see if I can take some time off, and the 25 game would obviously be one I'm specifically looking to take time off for. But I don't know for sure that I'm going to be able to do that. So I don't know how much, unfortunately, of the mini F-Tops, as much as I am just dying to play those, I don't know how much of it I'm going to be able to do, unfortunately. Oh, interesting. Sass got merged. That's interesting. I think we're getting out of the way with our King Jack. This Ace 5 King, we saw the Ace 6 King a while back, and I said I wouldn't play that one, but I would probably play one that's 2 to the nuts. This is an example of 2 to the nuts. I'm ignoring the King, but the 5 Ace is 2 cards to the nuts. So to get rid of 2 cards to the nuts is usually going to be a bad decision um, at this stage of any Razz hand. So yeah, you're gonna want to jump on these. Now that we get a 10, we're probably safe to go here. I mean, we're ahead of Robson for sure at this point. Well, no, we're not because we got the king. But if we're just playing our 3 card hand, but again, we're a card behind, and we're not necessarily gonna be better. So I think that we got to get rid of that at that point. Over here, the 9-4. Obviously, the 4 ace is 2 cards to the nuts again, so we want to be involved. The 9's better than the king. We're not necessarily ignoring the 9. We're not loving it, but we're nines will win a reasonable amount of the time in a Razz scenario. So you don't want to dish your 9s. Your 9s are not going to be it's not something you want to go crazy on, but it's not something you want to say, I'll never play this hand because it's got a 9 in it. That's gonna because it's 9 high. That's probably gonna be a wrong decision to make. So these two guys are both showing much stronger than we are, but our down cards are still pretty darn strong. And if we ignore the 9 and we can draw into the 7, we would have been doing okay. The fact that we're now sitting with a queen at 9 means that a 7 is the best we can hope for. In a best case scenario, we play a 7 something. That's not going to work a lot of times when you've got a dude showing a 6-5 deuce. So, later. Yeah, so I mentioned I played this new to the game Razz yesterday. It's a 110 entry, by the way. Each entry is 110, so I'm actually in the game for 220 at the moment. $2.20. I played it yesterday also with 2 entries. Busted my first entry very quickly, like literally in the first 15 minutes that I was playing. I busted my first entry, I think it was. The second entry I ended up getting 5th, I believe, with. Um, F-Tops buy-ins, mini F-Tops buy-ins, the low buy-in that I've seen is $22. There's a $22 Razz. The 25 game is $22. I've also seen some 33s and some 55s. So they're not cheap, but they're not super expensive either. I mean, it's not like a 215 on Stars or anything like that. So I think that 55 is the highest that I've seen. I won't guarantee that's the highest that they're running, but it's the highest one that I've seen was $55. That was the stud high low for some reason. This $55 buy-in. Weird thing is, I've been looking at the tournament lobbies, and I'm not seeing a lot of satellites being run for these things yet. I mean, I wanted to jump in some 25 game satellites and start playing it, but there's no satellites running yet. It's weird. There were satellites for the Razz, but the Razz is coming up really quick. Yeah, I think the Ace King 5 hammer. I agree. You definitely can fold that. There's no reason why you any hand with a king in it. There are lots of reasons and lots of justification to just toss that hand in the muck. There's no question about that. That said, 2 cards to the nuts is going to be a pretty powerful hand in a lot of cases. And seeing at least one street when you've got 2 cards to the nuts, if I've got Ace King 5, I see one street and I draw 3, I'm pretty happy with my hand at that point, right? So I'm definitely playing that as a speculative hand, and there's no question that I'm going to be folding a lot of 5th streets in the hand with a king in it. But equally, and it's especially true when your king is showing up, you can be very deceptive about the hand that you're building in a lot of cases. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I think that obviously you can always find easy reasons to fold any hand with a king in it in Razz, but I don't necessarily think that the optimal play is always going to be to fold a hand with a king in it like that. If you've got 2 cards to the nuts and a king, I think you really have to think about being involved for at least a street or 2 just to see how your draws are developing. Just my opinion. I could be wrong on that, but that's sort of the way that I look at them. It's important to realize too, I think, in a stud format context, five ace is as much two cards to the nuts as deuce ace is two cards to the nuts. So a lot of people will look at the deuce ace and go, "Oh my God, that's the nuts," and play it. Whereas they look at five ace and go, "Well, no, that's nowhere near the nuts," and not play it. But in a stud context, you have to remember that you fill in your hand as the hand moves on. So, like in an Omaha high low context, the ace deuce is absolutely the nuts. And if you're playing an ace five in your hand, you need to have your head examined in an Omaha high low context. At least as far as playing it for its low context until you see the flop. Um, in in the stud context though, because of the way the boards come out, the ace five is exactly the same as the ace two when you've only got three cards. Um, with an ace five, you need to hit three cards between five and ace to make your nuts. Okay. With ace deuce, I need to hit three cards between five and ace to make my nuts. It's the exact same odds. They're different cards you have to hit, obviously, but they're the exact same odds to hit those cards, whether you're playing the five ace or the deuce ace. So you really shouldn't look at it as a king five ace. You should look at it as a king two nuts. Is the way you should look at that king five ace hand. I think, anyways. Yeah, 22 is pretty high end for me. 22 is definitely a super high roller for my bankroll. But I'm also looking at the full tilt. I'm also looking at the full tilt stuff and thinking that I'm happier to put more of my bankroll on the line in full tilt games, at least at the levels I've been playing to this point, than I am on stars, just because I think my edge is bigger here on tilt. So. Right, so we're getting raised and re-raised with sitting here with ace 6-3. I'm pretty happy that I'm in good shape against Maux here. GRV 77 obviously could have us crushed at this point, but one of the problems with going crazy with any hand at this stage of a Razz hand is that you do not have a hand. Period. End of story. Until you have five cards, you do not have a Razz hand. That's not the case in stud. In stud, you can have a very good hand, very strong hand with three cards. If I've got a deuce showing, I could be rolled up deuces, right, and still have a super strong stud hand. If I've got a king showing in Razz, people know I got a king high. Like there's no other way to read that. And even if I've got three deuce ace in Razz, if I draw 3-3 deuce deuce after that, my hand's pretty horrible, right, at this point. So obviously we're strong. I don't know what the hell Priskow is doing here, but we're definitely stronger than him. We're definitely stronger than Maux now. We're definitely stronger than Real Stub. Real Stub I played with yesterday in both this and also the stud high-low I played last night. Right, so we've just basically hit the nuts there, at least the virtual nuts, and we're getting raised with the. I mean, what more can you ask for when you've hit the virtual nuts and you're getting raised? Um, it's possible right now. It's possible that Maux could be playing a 76, which we're still beating. So we're still raising. It's possible he could be drawing out to better than us. No, actually, we have got the nut 6, so we are playing better than him. We've got the nut 6, period. So we're definitely winning. There's no question. We're taking all of the money. We are taking all of the chips, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, well, and certainly Hammer. I think that if you're playing a tight Razz style, that's probably there's there's no way that people can criticize that decision as far as Razz theory is concerned. If you want to fold any hand with a king in it, you cannot be criticized for that. Um, that said, it's not always going to be the optimal play as far as your getting as much value as you can from the hands. I should also add that playing hands with kings in them, no matter how strong the other two cards are, is very dangerous. It's like playing spec hands in HoldEm, where you need to know when you have to get off the hand after the flop. And when you're playing spec hands and HoldEm, if you don't know when, if you can't figure out when you're playing your 9-8 suited and you hit the 8 on a board where the 8 is third pair, if you can't figure out that that's not going to be good, a lot of times when you get called in position by somebody and there's two overcards on the board, if you can't figure that out in a Hold'em context, you are going to lose a lot of money, right? Same is true in the Razz context. If you're going to play Ace 5 King in the Razz context and you don't know when to get off your hands, you're going to lose a lot of money playing hands like that. The two points in playing the King 5, you need to understand that your king is dead and that you're playing a 2-card hand, so you're already at a disadvantage. And you need to understand that you're going to have to get off that hand a fair bit on 4th, 5th, or 6th Street if things start to go horribly wrong. Alrighty, 6-5 deuce, obviously a hand we're getting involved in. 2 cards to the nuts plus a 6 low is something that you're basically dancing in the streets over in a Razz context. You can't really... Queen, Queen, Jack, on the other hand, is something that you're not really so much dancing in the streets over in a Razz context. Hitting the jack is never friendly, but I think we're going to see one more street because we're still drawing to a 6 if we ignore the jack, which is that's why we do this, because we are actually ahead now. We're drawing way better than he is. We are ahead now. We're playing a 96. He's playing a 10-3, well, 10-4 at best at this point. There's no question we are ahead now. He can obviously draw out on us. Already, Hammer. And yes, Hammer, you're right. That's where the ace deuce is better because you're hitting the nut 6, the nut 7, and things like that. So yes, you are right in that sense. And I should have made that clear when I was saying it. It's not exactly the same. Ace 5 and ace deuce are not exactly the same hand, but they're very close to the same hand. And people shouldn't really look at them as that different. Six deuce ace, definitely something we're gonna play. And I think given what we're seeing elsewhere on the board, we're going to play that for a raise as well. We're ace deuce nuts. We've got the nut 6 at this point, so if and John is playing a 6, our 6 is better for sure. So I think it's worth raising over top. So this is good. We're going to go four-handed here. That's not a horrible thing. Obviously, I'm not happy pairing the 6, but against 7s and 8s coming up, I'm always seeing another street here. I can't. I'm throwing away way too much money if I don't. When the 10 comes up, nobody else is paired. Everybody else is below 10. So at this point, I've got to get out of the hand. The king 6-3. This is one of those spots where you're can get yourself into trouble if you start thinking that you can play hands with kings in them, because the 6 and the 3 are going to get you into a lot of trouble down the road a lot of times. So you really want to get rid of that. If it's a king 3 ace, I'm much more inclined to play it than a king 6-3. 3-4-6 obviously over here is something that we're pretty happy about. We want to get involved with. Again, raising there. Also, the fact that 6 showing is showing the best hand at the moment means that we're probably going to get a lot of value out of this hand potentially as things go on. Nice draws. Definitely throwing money in that pot without question. I could play the 9-6 deuce. It's a hand that's going to get you in trouble a lot, though. We paired the 6. Obviously not thrilled about that, but we paired a 4 as well, but they don't know that we paired the 4. So at this point, 8-6-4-3, still ahead of anything that he could possibly be playing or drawing to. So if Anjon has any Razz skills, they can't be. That was. I'm sorry. That was an utterly horrible call. No matter what they were playing, they have to look at me, think that I'm at worst playing an 8-6 or potentially playing an 8-6, and they are drawing dead with an 8-7 as what they're playing, as the best they can be playing, and that I can see that. So yeah, no, that was I honestly think that was a pretty horrible call both on 6th and 7th Street by Anjon there. Ace Jack King, obviously we're getting rid of that. I really don't like to talk ill of other players, but that was a really bad call. I'm sorry, that was just a really bad on 6th and 7th Street there. They should know, looking at the boards, that they're drawing dead. I mean, they obviously can't, because I don't know what my down cards are, so obviously I could be snowing, and I could be like, playing like 4 aces or some stupid thing like that, or well, no, I couldn't be playing 4 aces at that point, but four fours, for example, 4 sixes, something like that. But when you look at those two boards, no matter when you're on the 87, no matter what you're playing, you're looking at the other board going, yes, it's a best case scenario, but the best hand he could be playing is an 86. And if he's playing an 86 right now, I am drawing dead. I cannot draw better than the 87 that I'm currently playing. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, it was a bad, they were bad calls. Welcome back. I've just been ranting about a fairly bad call that was up on the video that I think should be coming up actually shortly on the stream that you're probably about to see. I have considered streaming without delay, and I think I might do that in some cases. I am a little bit concerned, and obviously at this stage when I don't have very many viewers and almost nobody knows what I'm doing, it's not a huge issue. But streaming without delay means that somebody can literally see my hole cards while we're playing the hands together, and I just don't think that I would ever feel comfortable in it. Yeah, and I certainly think in those, as you say, only a few in here, and sometimes playing with playing a free roll with thousands in it. I think in those cases, I'd certainly be happy to put in a no delay type thing. I think also there might be times where I start a tournament with no delay, and then maybe on a break as I go deep, stop streaming and start again with a 3 or a 5 minute delay as I go deep. Hard to say how it's all going to go. I'm pretty sure that if I was on no delay at all, I would feel uncomfortable whether I had 3 people in the stream or 300, just because having my hole cards being shown in real time just feels wrong to me as a poker player. I don't know. It would definitely make chat better, absolutely. Yeah, maybe if I cover up the cards, and yeah, certainly it would make chat. It certainly would make chat easier. Um, so yeah, I probably will think about that actually as things go on, and we'll see what happens if numbers increase, and we might have to change that. But yeah, maybe next stream that I do, I'll try to do it live. That's a good idea. 6-4 ace. We're definitely getting involved in this hand. We're gonna play that for a raise, I think. GRV 77 raising us with a deuce obviously could have us crushed. GRV 77, I'm sure, is one that we played in um, some of the stud variant sessions that played last season on Anything But Hold'em, and also probably some of the Omaha high-low that we played here last season as well, I think. I mean, I think we're definitely involved in this. What I'm really thinking about here is whether I want to raise at this stage or not. I think that I'm ahead here in a large percentage of the cases. Um, Clearly, that's not always the case anymore. Um, with our paired four, but they don't know that necessarily. I probably should have bet there, but I don't think I'm ever not getting called by GRV, and I'm probably getting raised by GRV in a fair number of cases there. So I think the sort of check call is probably the better option. These draws have just been atrocious here for us, pairing the four. We're still, I think I'm going to see one more streak because we're still drawing good. We're obviously still drawing to a 64, and he's playing a 95 at best. So I think that so we're drawing under 76, and he's still playing an 85 at best. So I think that if we fold here, it's going to be throwing a lot of money into the pot. So we're basically on a Jack 7-6-4 ace, which I don't think is going to win this pot very often. We needed to draw out into a 5 or a 3, basically, or maybe an 8. But yeah, still, I think that I don't think we made any horrible decisions on that hand. Just didn't work out for us. It's gonna happen. Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. That's actually a good point, Hammer. And I suppose, yeah, I think next time, next stream that I do, I'm gonna try doing it live. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it feels. We'll um, see what happens. And I think, yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's gonna be, I think that'll be something that we try. And yeah, it will be nice to have a better chat opportunity with you because it certainly is a little frustrating chatting in um, 3 minute gaps. Yeah, I haven't seen any. I've seen Jason Somerville go live sometimes um, with his hole cards covered. But he's the only one that I think I've watched live, and he's always done it with his hole cards covered. I don't really want to cover my hole cards because part of the point of this I found for me is that I want to talk about the strategy, my thinking in the hand as it's developing. And I think if I'm covering the hole cards, but I'm still talking about my hand, it defeats the purpose of covering the hole cards because I'm telling people what my hand is when I'm talking about it. Anyways, so I've watched Somerville do it, and it's really tough, I think, to I think in a Hold'em context, you have a lot more, in a no limit Hold'em context, you have a lot more option, and PLO to a certain extent as well. You have a lot more. The your cards make a lot less difference to the outcome of the hand than they do in something like a stud, and certainly in the low game context. I mean, in stud games, the value of your hand is very much a relative thing. There are obviously times in a Razz context where you can be playing a 6 and know that you're crushed, know that you're drawing dead. There are times in a Razz context where you can be playing a Jack and know that you're good and know that your opponent is drawing dead. So when you're evaluating the strength of your hand in a Razz context, it's and stud obviously the same thing. There are times when a single pair looks super strong, and there are other times when you have Broadway straight, and you're drawing dead. You're dead, right? Because there's the flush out there, the board is paired. The dude was playing a set before that. Um, so there's just in there are just times when you're dead, even though it's out there. So yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that makes the stud games a little bit different. The relative value of your hands are somewhat different, and the what your hand is matters more. You can't really bluff people quite as much unless the board is helping you do that and working with you to do the bluff. In Hold'em, you can often run bluffs, especially pre-flop, uh, with no equity whatsoever. That's not really ever going to be the case in a stud game. You've got to have some. You've got to at least look like you have equity in a stud game, which isn't the case when you draw a jack on 4th Street like that. So we're going to get rid of that in Razz. Queen 4 is a goner. King 10 deuce is a goner as well. Fold and fold. Yeah, no, I agree. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes, Hammer, and we will see what happens from there. King deuce 3. This is definitely, since I'm in the bring-in, this is definitely something that I'm going to be thinking about playing. If it goes too crazy with like 3 or 4 bets, I'm obviously not going to do it. But if there's just a completion, I'm clearly, well, this qualifies somewhat as going crazy. And I think probably for 2 bets, I don't play the king 3 deuce. For 1 bet, I'm probably involved, especially if it's a bet call. Odds say I'm definitely getting in. But I think with a bet with complete raise, then I'm gonna be in bad shape there a lot of the time, I think. King 5 ace over here, same situation here. We're king plus 2 cards to the nuts. But again, if it goes crazy, we're probably getting rid of the hand. If it's just a completion, we're probably involved for sure. Alrighty, we're coming up on break here pretty quick. This is the last hand before break. Going to get rid of the 10 Jack 6 over here, so we're just going to call that, go to break over there. Pairing our 5 is about the worst thing that could happen to us, so no reason why we can't just get rid of the hand at this point, even though Nicola's got so few chips. There's no point in giving him the rest of the 90 chips at that point. So, alrighty, going to go on break. We'll be back. We'll be back in a few minutes after I take care of my custodial duties. I am back. Just started off a game in the Premier League, Poker School Online Premier League on Stars. I won't put that up on stream because it's not because it's HoldEm, and this is anything but HoldEm. But I will be playing that off stream just in case I get distracted by the other game at some point. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Hammer. If I start live, and then if I go deep, I can certainly change over. Yeah, it certainly would be interesting as we get into more pots. We definitely know each other's games more than sort of typical, I think. Just about back from break now. Alrighty, virtually identical hands on both tables. Fold and fold. Neither of those are worth even considering in a Razz context. Yeah, I'm honestly not entirely sure how to get Elrond to stop his little um, weird movements there. He just seems to do that a lot, and I can't stop him. But oh well, that's okay. He's got his little ticks, you know. So the king 4-3, we're bringing that in, obviously. Sort of what we were talking about before. For one bet, we're going to defend almost certainly. For two or more, we're probably getting out of the way. Um, and what comes on Fourth and Fifth Street is vital for whether or not we're going to continue the hand. When you pair your king on 4th Street, and your pair of kings are visible, probably best just to click this little button with the FOLD written on it. Bring in fold on the Queen 10 Ace table. I could obviously play that 10-6 deuce there, um, and I probably want to in some contexts, but most of the time I think folding is going to be the best option. Obviously raising this hand, 3 cards to the nuts, you're raising that for sure. The ace deuce means that we have the nut 5 at the moment. So, well, I mean, there's no such thing as anything but a nut 5, but there's no 5 that isn't a nut 5. But we now have the nut 75. And I mean, we're ahead of everybody else at this point. So I think putting money in is all we can do. Um, you know, we're still ahead. I think that checking is losing value, giving him a chance to check behind. We've just nutted out, which is always a nice thing to have happen. So 66 over here, 4,000 here. Gonna do a quick Alrighty, so I am 10th with this stack. And 29th with this stack over here. Oh, it doesn't look like you're seeing my cursor today. Okay, well, the stack on the right is in 29th place, and the stack on the left is in 10th place, roughly. This tournament had 80 entrants. It's a $100 guarantee, so there's 20 bucks in dead money. 20 bucks in dead money sitting on the table that we're all playing for. 8 prizes are going to be paid out, so 8 places pay. The whole final table pays. Nobody but the final table pays. First, looking at 35 bucks up top, and 3 bucks for a min cash. So if I min cash, I will make a profit. Remember, I'm in this for $2.20 at the moment. I'm in for two buy-ins. It's an interesting. I'm going to sort by player name. Very few people seem to have taken advantage. 9-8 ace. This obviously would be a hand that I would play in a high-low context almost all the time because of 3 hearts. But I think in a Razz context, the 3 hearts are meaningless, and therefore the 9-8 is probably too weak to consider. So I'm just going through the list of entries in this tournament. Looking for who double bought and who has single bought. And there's actually very few double buys in this. Now, my read on that is that if you are only single buying in a tournament like this, you're probably not playing your value to the best of your ability. And so I would probably think that if you're not playing both your buy-ins, you probably are a weaker player, most likely. But that's just maybe a quick read on that. But yeah, it looks like only about half of the field has bought in twice for this. Yeah, I suppose when the brakes unsync, it doesn't actually work very well. Um, yeah, it's really quite. I guess it's really quite frustrating on both ends. Yeah, we could just place that, and I mean, if we, that's one of the reasons why I like to play the rotating games because there's actually a chance that you can do that in some of those cases. But here, it's just Razz, right? What am I going to do? I got 2 kings and they're showing. As you've seen, I'm quite willing to bet if the 2 kings are hidden and they don't know I've got 2 kings. I'm still quite willing to throw money in the pot in those situations. But uh, right, I think we're definitely getting involved. Ace Deuce 9 here. The Ace Deuce is just too strong to get rid of. Paired our 9, which is never going to be a happy situation. I think if you call at this point, the only thing that you're calling for is drawing 3 cards lower than your 9. And I think that the odds of that happening are pretty low. So I think that the odds, just don't favor you getting involved there very much. Yeah, 20% overlay is not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. There's 49 people left in the game, so we have got. Um, so yeah, we still got quite a ways to go. We still got quite a ways to go before we're thinking about money, but we're looking there. Yeah, I'm hoping to get both stacks to the final table. I want to see what happens if you get both stacks to the final table. King 8-3, don't need to get involved with that. Yeah, I really am curious what happens if I can get both stacks to the final table. King 7 deuce fold, Queen 7 5. I fold if I could, but they make me bring in, so I will bring in fold. They made me bring in. It's horrible. It's like a little bit of abuse in the Razz style games. You know, that the worst hand on 3rd Street has to bring in, has to start the betting. It's like, oh yeah, you clearly don't have a hand. Why don't you put the first bit of money into this pot? It's just one more level of abuse that you get in stud format games. Deuce 4-7, one that I definitely think we'll want to get involved in. I could actually even raise this, even with the 5 showing. We've seen in the past that Anjon's not the strongest Razz players, so can definitely pull chips potentially out of them. Don't want to rely on that too much, though, because you get yourself into some pretty ugly spots then. Um, when you do that too much. We just got our table balance somehow. Ace 6-7. I'm gonna get involved with that. I think at least to see a street or two. This is definitely a bet now on this other table over here. We're gonna get we didn't get called that time. I think we're gonna get called a lot of times by Anjon based on past behavior there, and get at least a street or two of value that we shouldn't necessarily get. So drawing the jack over here, obviously nowhere near as good as we drew on this table, but the king betting, that's rather interesting. You got to think that the king, betting is either an idiot. That's option number one. That is an idiot. Option number two is that he's got 3 nut cards here. 5, all 3 of these are nuts. So, which option is it? Well, you decide. Yes, I agree with you. Crab Cake City. I think if you've got if you're not double buying in these tournaments, that's where your value is going to be, is when you double buy. Really, I think so. If you're not playing 2 stacks, you're not playing as much as you can. So we hit a 10-9 4 ace over here. We're still drawing, but we're drawing potentially better. I should have probably played the 10-3 ace there. Yeah. I don't like to fold when he's obviously playing a queen at this point, but I don't have a choice because the other hands are just too strong. Yeah, that actually sounds like an awesome thing to have happen. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get to the final table with both of my stacks, and I'm gonna merge those stacks and take 9th place money. I think that sounds like an excellent idea, Hammer. Thank you for suggesting it to us. And then win, obviously, yes, obviously, and then win. That's the other corollary to that plan. Alrighty, we paired our queen, even though we've got a 4-ace down. That's time to get out of that hand. Oh, pair of jacks. I hate to bring in there, but I'm going to have to bring in and fold. Bring in with the queen. 3 deuce behind is pretty nice. Actually, we'll work with that. Fold the jacks. I think we're going to call with the queen over here. I think now we've got 5 3 deuce, 3 cards to the nuts. We're definitely staying involved over here. 8 3 deuce. I think I want to play this one as well. 8 5 3 deuce. We're definitely involved over here. 8-6-5 versus 8-5 versus Jack 7. I think we're definitely need to bet for value there. And I think that we're definitely calling here. I don't think we can fold at all. It's pretty marginal at this point whether we're ahead or behind. And we're behind, 85 to the 86. But I think that if we fold there, it's just going to be we're just going to give away too much money. There's going to be spots where he's playing his 9. There's going to be spots where he's on a worse 86. There's going to be spots where he's on an 87. I think in that case, and I just think that we're going to be giving away way too many chips if we don't call there, unfortunately. Even though we know that we're going to be behind a lot in that spot. Just one of those unfortunate situations in the stud games, I think. Yeah, well, like I said, the fact that he's an idiot was one of the sort of top options on my list when he bets on the king. You can kind of make the justification if he's playing 3 nut cards behind the king, but that's even in that situation, I'm not sure you want to be betting out. You probably want to be calling. You probably want to be check calling those situations most of the time in the Razz context. $46 people remaining. Obviously, our stacks have been crippled a little bit in the last couple of minutes, but still doing okay. Still alive. Still got chips and chairs. Nice, Hammer. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I was in yesterday. I didn't merge stacks. I only got 1 stack to the final table and ended up 5th, I think it was, for $6. So not bad. I was in for 220 again, as I am today. So I made like a 380 profit I'm going to be playing the ace 3 over here a lot, especially just for a bring in. You know, the odds there are like 1,000,000,000 to 1, so you just really can't do anything but. So I'm ahead of everybody except Twilight at this stage. Well, no, I'm not ahead, obviously, with the Queen, but if I'm ignoring the Queen, I'm ahead of everybody at this stage. I think it's a check until I've got at a 4-card hand, I'm willing to start putting bets in on spec. But with the Queen showing, they know that I'm weak at this stage. I'm ahead. I'm ahead of everybody at this. Well, yes, yes. I'm ahead of everybody at this stage. So I need to put money in for value and hope that people like Twilight and these guys don't draw out. Now they've drawn out well, but I look like I've drawn out well as well. I think I'm gonna put in the rest of my chips and see where things go on this hand. Ace 4, going to get involved and see a street at least against a queen and a king. Ace 4, 9, a queen 7. I think I'm going to check here and see what happens. And we're done. This stack has just gotten toasted. 47th place for stack number 1, so I guess we're not getting 2 stacks to the final table. That actually works. I'll just leave the other... I'll just leave the other... The queen 7. I think we're ahead most of the time here. We're ahead all of the time now, so I think we're definitely continuing to put money in on value. And I think we're still putting money in on value, even though we double paired there. He doesn't know that we're paired with the ace, so we're much stronger in many cases, and we've just hit our hands. So we're 95 now. He's got to be playing the 87 to have us beat. That's the only hand that he can have that doesn't have us beat. So I really think that, again, we're throwing away value if we don't call here. He's going to have us beat some of the time, but not this time. Again, that's one where you just kind of have to hold your nose and call, even though you know you're going to be behind and losing a significant percentage of the time. You hold your nose because you know you're going to be winning a significant percentage of the time as well. So, you know, just gotta do it. So yeah, right now I think that this has worked out. Right now, after I busted the other table, that table disappeared, of course, when I closed it, and the full tilt lobby for this game, I believe, popped up. So I'm just going to leave that up on the screen. You can watch as what's happening. Oh, we're up to 12 places paid now. It's still late registration. Oh my God, are people still registering in this thing? Late registration through level 12. Yeah, it's late registration through level 12. We're only on level 11. So if you want to come join the game, Hammer, there's still late registration available, apparently. So why don't you come jump in? We're up to 12 places being paid now. 5-3 ace, obviously we're getting involved with this for a completion. The queen obviously bites for us. I think that I've got to go at least one more street. However, because obviously my 3-card hand is super strong at this point, but the 10 pretty much kills my hand at this point. I'm technically drawing better than GRV now. Technically, I'm drawing better than, or technically I'm better than CRF, but I'm also drawing pretty badly with the 10 up there, and it's just not going to work out for me very well. Yeah, unlucky. It's the way it goes. I mean, that's just that's the way, the way stud goes. It's brutal some days, and You're not going to draw out, and you're going to lose your stack. You're going to find yourself deep into a pot, and things are going to go horribly wrong, and just there's nothing you can do about it. King 9-9, obviously not getting involved with that in a Razz context. There is nothing good about that hand in a Razz context. Literally nothing is good about that hand. Oh, 9-5 ace, 9-5 ace, 9-5 ace. Yeah, I could definitely be involved with this, with the 5 showing. In fact, I think I will be with the raise. See, I'm probably taking this down without any. Oh, well, yeah. GRV is a fairly. I'm taking it down on this pot or on this street though. Um, I'm almost certain. Yes, there's really no. There's really no way that anybody. You've got to be a pretty big idiot to play to call me there. I suppose that means I might want to check there, see if I can get some value from other people, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen more often is they're going to check around, and I'm going to be giving away a free card, which is never something you want to do in a stud context. So it's one of the things that makes stud less or more predictable, I suppose, than the other games is that you always want to be betting for value when you think you have value, because if you're not betting, then it's a lot of times it's pretty obvious that you have value. And if you don't bet those when you do have the value, then when it looks like you have value and you're trying to bluff it, it's not going to work properly for you, if that makes sense. So yeah, you've just got to keep relentlessly pounding the money in the pot there, and it's going to fool people out sometimes, but it's also going to, as you relentlessly do it, people are going to go, well, you can't have it all the time. So, I'm going to be calling you here, and when you do have it, it's gonna build pots for you. So, 5, 6, 7. I think we're gonna get involved with this. See some cards. At least one street of cards. Yeah, the king's not a friendly one, obviously. Everybody else is queen high, so I think checking around and getting a free card for itself. Giving free cards to your opponents is never a good thing. Getting a free card for yourself when you need it sometimes can be a very good thing. So it's a little bit of a context there for you. Alrighty, enjoy your food. Hopefully I will do my best not to bust while you're gone. So we're on a 97 now versus Queen 7 on him. Or a 73. I think I'm going to see 7th and decide from there. I think this is probably going to be a fold if he bets. I mean, this obviously could be a situation where he's playing something worse than a 9. I don't think that that's going to be the case very often in that spot. Um, I think he's obviously going to bet his hands that are bigger than 9 there because he's going to think that, well, I can't win unless I bet. But I folded that for the record, even with the deuce showing, simply because I'm pretty sure that GRV is calling the ace no matter what I do there. So, um, yeah, I'm just going to get out of the way. GRV I've played against before. I know he's a very strong player, so it's worth watching out for. And yeah, I actually, given what he just showed there, I would be expecting him to raise me. If I had raised my deuce there, I was expecting him to raise me, and I would have had to fold out with the pair of 7s. So, based on sort of everything that I've seen of him, um, that's what I would sort of expect. Oh, folding, folding, folding. I think that was on the HoldEm table that I'm playing. Alrighty, I'm gonna zoom a bit, play around a bit on my. Oh, actually, I'm gonna have a hand here coming up in a second to deal with. So let's auto fold that, fold out there. Have a quick look. This is the studio that I'm actually working in. On Second Life here, so that gives you a bit of an idea of what we're looking at. I am actually hanging from the ceiling of a building while I do this, as my Hooker Stars avatar might indicate. I've also set up a little screen in my studio so that people can come watch live, although I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, frankly, because it's going to be delayed, what you see on the screen versus my live chat in the window, so I think it's probably not going to work. The ace-4, we're definitely getting involved. I probably could have raised that and possibly got folds all around. I don't necessarily think I want that, though, because I think I can get more value if I draw into a good hand on later streets. The 4 isn't the best card for my hand, but it's also not necessarily the worst because even though we paired, it's buried. I'm gonna check once here and go for the free card for myself, which we don't get. Um, I don't have a ton of respect for Lord Jambek's game at this point, but I also don't have a ton of strength in my hand to be countering that move with, and I expect that GVR is going to do everything necessary to tell Lord Jambek that that was a pretty silly thing to have done on 4th Street there. By now taking a bunch of Lord Jambek's chips. I mean, yeah, just really why he calls there. Um, and yeah, GRV, thank you. That's exactly sort of the reaction that you end up getting because you kind of look forward, you go, what are you possibly calling with there that you think can be better than what GRV is playing? Um, so yeah. Alrighty, taking him down on 3rd. Gotta like that. Certainly don't mind taking down pots uncontested. 10 with a 5 ace. We're in a short-handed situation now as well, which means that you have to play more hands. We're down to a 6-handed table. You're going to have to play more. I think I'm going to see a street here. The king's obviously not what we were looking for. A good chance we'll be able to check for a free card at this point. If Val something isn't betting, then nobody else is likely to on those draws. Now that Jack 5-3 showing versus my King 5 deuce. If the 10 was a little bit stronger, I would probably be more inclined to continue here. But I just don't think that the King 10 is going to win me this pot very often. I really am looking to go runner there to make it work. And that's not going to happen all that often. So I think getting out of the way there is probably the thing to do. Alrighty, so we got 31 people left in the tournament. Registration, late reg is now closed. 31, total of 90 registered, so there is still a $10 overlay on the $100 guaranteed prize. Yeah, 31.50 up top for first. Min cash of 12th is $2.20, which would be a wash for me. I am in this game for $2.20. So if I get them in cash, it is a complete wash. I basically get my buy-in back and go home. No farther ahead, but no further behind either. Bring in with the jack. We're probably going to fold this. So I highly doubt this is at all significant, but it's entry number 2 that we are playing still. Entry number 1 is the one that we busted. not really unhappy with the way that I busted entry number one either. It was a hand that I really don't think I'd play any differently if I had to play over again. I'm gonna win there and have a stack of 8 or 9,000 a lot of the time, and some of the time I'm gonna lose as well and go home. That's just the way that stud's gonna work, and you've got to be willing to go with those situations and know that there's going to be times when they just go horribly wrong at the end or they just don't go right at the end. Um, and be willing to come back next time and do the same thing, because when they do go right, they go right in a big way for you, and you move on and do really well in tournaments. So that's just the way you've got to look at the stud situations, I think. So I wouldn't do anything differently. I think we were competitive on 7th Street on that one. Some of the time, he's going to be doing that with a weaker hand than us. Um, and some of the time he's not, and that time he wasn't. And we lost. That's just the way it's going to be. We could use the 3 to our advantage, and if we were in later position, we almost certainly would. But I think that being so early in position, it's not really gonna be a good move for us to push too hard with that. Not with a 5 and a deuce over here. If it was like a 10 jack 9 8 queen, then raising the 3 makes a lot more sense. But with the 5 and the deuce, those hands are going to play a lot of the time. So I think that you're going to expect calls there, and so the weakness of your 2 back cards matters more at that stage. That's sort of the explanation for why I would say it's worth playing in later position, but not there. It's my position in the Razz here. 24th at the moment, so well outside the money, but still got chips and chairs, so that's really all that matters. 8-6-3 definitely is a playable hand, absolutely, but it's also something that I could fold pretty easily. Tempers are getting a bit flared over here on the Razz, apparently. Just going back up through the chat a little bit. Funny, funny, funny. Always funny stuff. Like, the big news that's come out of today is that I think the next time I stream, I'm going to try to do it live streaming. See how that goes. Probably be better for chat. There's not that many people around, so I mean, if I get a hint that someone's trying to snipe me, from one of my tables. I suppose I'll change that, but I'm not really telling people. Um, I'm not really telling people that I'm streaming at the table, so really, if there's only 5 people in my stream, the likelihood that one of those 5 people has also happened to be on the final table, and I don't know about it, seems pretty low. Um, in this world of 7 billion people and some 100,000 people playing on, well, actually no, not that many on Tilt, but what are we looking at? The 16,000 player pool on Tilt. Um, so I mean, we'll cross that bridge if come to it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try some live next time around when we come back again. As I said earlier, I also want to sit down and put together a better schedule so that there's something for people to look forward to. You can set aside, if you wanna watch Razz, well, there's going to be, I've always had my Sunday Razz, but maybe there'll be 1 or 2 more Razz nights. If you want to watch Stud High Low, there'll be a day I pick that. That $5.50 triple stud tournament that we played a while back from Stars, I think that one's going to be on the schedule 1 day a week at least. Seems like a good deal for me. Ace 5 Jack the Jack is obviously a crippling card to a certain. See with our stack, I can't call with my stack because it's I'm just yeah I needed to raise that if I was going to play it. And I mean, I probably should raise that in a lot of contexts, but I just wasn't feeling it on that hand. Probably not a great reason not to play a hand in poker, but nonetheless, that is the reason that I am giving. Sitting in 23rd position right now, 26 people remaining in the tournament, 12 pay. Not hugely worried at this point. I just know that at this stage I need 1 hand. And that 1 hand's either going to put me out or it's going to double me up and give me a chance to actually make it to the final table and make some money in this tournament. That's where we're sitting right now, waiting for that 1 hand, going with it, and then trusting the rest to the poker gods. Oh, with the 6 deuce, this is one that you actually could think about making your stand with, being that you had to bring in. Just don't think it's I don't think it's going to be the one this time around. I don't think the 10-5-5 is going to be it this time around either. I do have to do something very soon. The antes and bring-ins are killing me at this stage. So one of these days, very quickly, I have to find a hand, make a stand, and go with it. I am now 23rd of 24 people. 3, 6, 10. If this was high-low, this would be the hand that I would be making my stand on. 2 low cards and 3 cards to the flush. I would definitely be doing that here. This is not high-low, however, so I'm going to get rid of that one. In the Razz context, that 10 just makes it too weak of a starting position for me. I'm going to lose that too often, I think, to put all my chips on the line for. Ace-Ace-4, I think, is actually a better starting hand than the 10-6-3 that we were just looking at before. And in fact, I think with the ace showing, we are making this the hand that we're going to stand on. Let's see if they make me pay for a card. They should make me pay for a card. There's absolutely no reason to giving me a free card in this situation was just idiotic, I think. But I think that at this stage of the game, I really have no choice but to be involved. If I fold at this point, I'm just giving away way too many chips. I got here, and I just have to go with my decisions and keep going. So I'm playing an 8 at best, Jack 8 at the moment, but it could be an 8-4 deuce ace. So if we try and do less than an 8, we could be playing an 8x, which could be winning. Jack is not going to win me. I'm going to be out of this tournament here very quickly. Lomax, good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, hey, Lomax, awesome, man. Good to see you on the prem there, buddy. I'm glad to see you got food. Unfortunately, it looks like you came back just as I busted out of the Razz. Unfortunately, but it's the way it goes sometimes. I, the ace four there. Obviously, the paired ace makes it a weaker hand. The reason I chose that one to go with is because my stack was I was getting anteed to death very quickly there, and I needed to make a stand at some point when my stack had some value, and I was at least partially valuing the chance that my raising my ace could get folds around and take it down without any sort of a battle. Now, given the deuce and the 3 to my left, earlier position I was in, that was probably the amount of that value was probably not very high, but I think it was in there somewhat, and I'm really not um, hugely disappointed with the way that all went down. I think I'd probably make the same decision again, but yeah, this is the way it goes. All right, what have you missed? Well, you missed me basically losing my stack and then came back just in time for me to bust, is what you missed. Oh, yes, the flashing mouse pointers on the left happen when screens die in OBS, and I just let it go without turning them off. So that's the old Razz window that we busted out of, and it kind of has a bit of a fit at some point because the window that replaced it, the lobby window, doesn't quite fit over top of it. If you get what I'm saying, it's really kind of bizarre. But yeah, so alrighty, well, it's gone on break here. It was fun to come back. This is episode 1, as you can see in the top left corner of season 2 of Anything But Hold'em. I am absolutely going to try to be back tomorrow for the weekly round 2, which let me just have a quick look at that one. Interesting. Tomorrow the weekly round 2 is Limit Hold'em. So I don't know if I'll play that one or not. We'll have to see how it goes. It is Hold'em, but it's not no limit Hold'em, so that maybe is a something that we can work with. We'll see. I'm definitely back for the Sunday Razz tomorrow. Absolutely. I might be back later on today if I find a good game to play. One of the things that I did find actually last week that I'm going to look more into is I was talking in the last broadcasts about the $82 weekly mixed game tournaments that happen on Saturdays and Sundays. I actually discovered as well that there's a daily $27 mixed game tournament in every format, and I think I'm gonna play a bunch of those. I can get into those with a step 2 ticket, and I win step 2 tickets fairly on a fairly consistent basis when I play the step 1 Hold'em and Omaha High Low tournaments. So I think I'm gonna actually use those as stream vehicles a fair bit as well. So look for those coming up. I'm gonna set up some schedules. Once if I build up some tickets, I'll be able to plan more of those $27 ones out. If I can work out a good schedule with work, maybe I can get into some of the good mini F tops stuff coming up. But yeah, there will definitely be content coming up here in season 2. I'm going to be focusing, as I said, on higher content or um, higher game or higher buy-in games, more value games. Is what I'm going to be concentrating on here. Going to look for spots that I think that I've got a big edge in, and focus on those as well. But yeah, we're gonna move more away from the free rolls and more into the higher value games. I think in season 2. So thank you for joining me here for episode 1 of season 2 of Anything But Hold'em, and there's just more to come. So see you soon. I am out.